And slip you some boogie we will lift. Ladies and gentlemen. For the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I am your host, Gigi. Welcome to the show. And, a couple of close calls right before the broadcast. Sorry we were about a minute late, but we made it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Got a hell of a show for you tonight. Do follow us at Shift Happens Pod on Twitter, or better yet, just go to shifthappensradio.com and follow us at all of the links to all of our social media stuff is all linked up over there. Also joining us tonight, as per usual, is our trusty co-host, JP. What's happening, JP? Oh no, not this again. Are you muted? You're muted, buddy. Yeah, one on mute, huh? There it goes. Should be good?
Should be good now, right?
Yep, now you're good. And that's how we kick... Yeah, now you're good. And
okay.
And that's how we do it here, folks, at Shift Happens. This is how we stumble out of the gate. Every Friday night.
This is live. This is live radio. Look, man, this is going to be a great show, but I had no idea how great it would turn out. But as far as you getting a guest, I had no idea. So I'm really excited for your choice there and to have something good come in. And we'll be enjoying that. I guess I did want to just, before we got going too far, I wanted to bring up our friend Jeff Rennell's baby, E-Talk Radio, and their Haunted Marathon, streaming live on E-Talk TV. That's coming up this month on the 22nd. You're not going to want to miss it. I think a lot of people you have heard in the past will be doing shows. I have a show there on E-Talk TV on the 22nd of October at 10 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, I believe you're closing the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be closing the doors. I'm responsible to clean up, lock the doors, all the things I'm really bad at. But I will be there.
Sounds.
How about
fun.
you?
And,
What time are you going to be doing?
Well, Shift Happens isn't a part of that, but I am a part of the Midnight Blend, which will be a part of that. So
sweet.
Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing another Midnight Blend tomorrow night, live at not only eTalk but also twitch.tv/Beyond the Strange. Beyond the Strange's Twitch channel, which is also where Pulp Addicts Pod is, and we'll be doing that on Monday as well. So yeah, if you guys want to hear more of my annoying voice, not only do we have Shift Happens on Fridays, we have, the Midnight Blend on Saturday nights, and then we've got Pulp Addicts Pod on Monday. So there you go. But yeah, as far as that event goes, I believe us as the Midnight Blend is scheduled to go on I think we're second to last, right? Something like that.
I think so, but if you feel like continuing on and talking, please, I've got a guest, but you'd mix right in. So if you want to keep going, just join mine, and it'd be awesome.
All right,
even more
awesome.
Down.
Yeah, count me in.
Nice.
I'm absolutely down for that. And speaking of Jeff, I think he's at. I'm not sure if Jeff is, but I know Eric is. Just talked to him earlier. He's over at the UFO Congress is happening right now. And man, I wish I could be there. Always a great time, and I think Jeff is over there as well. A lot of our friends are over there, and yeah, good quality, brand new knowledge sharing happening at the UFO conference this weekend. And so next week we're going to have Duke Sullivan, the Bigfoot research extraordinaire, on the show, which Eric is going to be joining us for that show. So we'll be able to hear. So we're going to get to hear all the hottest stuff that went down at the UFO Congress as far as Eric's perspective goes. And we're going to get into some Bigfoot Boogie with the great, the one and only Duke Sullivan. So yeah, we got some cool stuff lined up. And you know what? I need to pull up a couple of things before we get to our guest tonight. But other than that, not a whole lot worth speaking of as of late, other than these racetrack UFOs. I don't know if you guys have heard about these in these last couple of weeks. That's been an interesting case to follow. 12 different pilots all eyeing the same thing and radioing over to each other like, what the hell is this? All between Hawaii and Los Angeles at this certain spot. Several sightings that have happened over the last couple of months. And some of the pilots were the same from the first sightings. And it's been very interesting. Yeah, look up racetrack UFOs. That's been an interesting story I've been following. So yeah, there we go. Without too much further ado, hopefully I can pull up the thing I was going to pull up. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've got crowd favorite, a man that needs no introduction, really. You all know him. You all love him. And he's here with us tonight by the graces of the radio gods. And that is none other than author Jason Quitt. What is happening, Jason?
Just enjoying the show so far and hanging out with you guys. It's always good to be back here.
Right on. Yeah,
nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on such short notice. Really appreciate that.
Brad gave me a call, and can you ever say no to Brad?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say no to Brad. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. And so we announced several days ago that you were going to be on the show. And, pretty good, big response to it. But, of course, there's a couple of people that every time anybody successful comes on the show, like, no matter what it is, they have something to say. And I won't say his name, but he said his response to you coming on the show was, tell him I said Dr. Jonathan Reed is a better guest than him. He has an alien armband and everything.
Yes. I should I say the man's name? But
Stephen Campion. He's been a dick for a long time. Yeah.
Yes, Stephen Campion always gives me a ribbing, whatever that means. And I believe it's because I did Jimmy Church's show after Dr. Jonathan Reed. And as you know, Dr. Jonathan Reed put out a video back in the day, a very famous video, and everybody should watch this video because I think it's UFO history. It's the video where he puts on the alien armband artifact and using VHS animation at the time teleports himself in a glory of light and then manifests himself back on video in a lot of pain because he just traveled through some type of alien portal. So I can never be as good as Dr. Jonathan Reed due to the armband video that gives him special powers to travel through space and time.
Yeah. And, the only time I ever hear from this Campion guy is whenever we have somebody extraordinary on the show. and he always has nothing but negative things to say. It's like, man, what kind of coffee are you drinking in the morning, bro? Like, what's going on? But another thing that came
always have that.
Yeah, he's I always wondered. I'll never understand what fuels that kind of fire. But there you go. There's your 15 seconds of radio time, Stephen Cambion. Are you happy? Do you feel good now? You doing good, buddy? Okay, there you go. But another thing that was brought up was that I think we can clear up a little bit. Apparently, your Facebook ban has reached the ears of many people, but it's not quite what people think, is it? It's actually, it's not like you were banned for saying something outrageous. It was, well, I'll let you explain unless you don't want to.
Oh, no, I could definitely explain it. It's very easy to say it was a conspiracy, and they don't want me to say what I say. and, who knows? But what happened is that my Facebook got hacked. And basically in the span of 30 minutes, a couple emails came in saying, am I resetting my password? Which I wasn't. I was driving at the time, so I couldn't look at the email. And then the next email I get, it said, basically I've lost control, or they believe I've lost control of my Facebook account. And then the next email was, your Facebook is now disabled. So basically I was hacked by someone, And I guess the AI of Facebook just basically saw the activity, knew that there was something wrong, and just nuked my Facebook. And obviously I, it took down the Facebook, it took down my Instagram, it took down my Messenger, so I couldn't see any messages or anything. And obviously I tried to get it back and contacted Facebook, and they wanted certain information from me, which I sent, and hopefully I get reinstated. But it could take up to a month or more for them to go through this. So what a pain. What a pain.
And I guess being some sort of it's still on the table, that somebody didn't like what you said, and they happened to have hacking skills, and they knew that hacking your profile would flag your profile and potentially get it banned. That is still a possibility. But it's not like this mysterious, I said one thing and then all of a sudden Facebook banned you. It was a series of, although a brief 30-minute series of a couple of things. Still.
Yep. And it could also be things with phone apps. If you download the wrong phone app, it could copy. When certain apps ask you to log in through your Facebook. Yeah. And they said, I think they said 1 million users got their identity stolen basically the same day that this happened to me. So, that could be a possibility as well.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And, this is a shame.
Well, let me just put this out there. The truth is, I've been self-censoring myself for like 5 years now. So,
me too.
I think I delete more posts than I keep up, because I'll have them out for like 2 minutes or less and go, oh God, why did I post that? Somebody's going to save this. So I just delete a lot of my posts.
That is a lesson that I have learned over the last 6 years of doing this, is anytime I post something and I get that feeling that you were just describing, I don't even question it. I just take it down. It's like, if I have that feeling, I take the post down instantly.
Yeah, because I don't know what it is about me. I've always been this way, but I love finding the humor in things, especially if it's dark or cynical humor. And with the political stage and the world stage and, the community, what's going on always, it's easy, to poke fun at things, but then you think, people could take things the wrong way and they don't get your sense of humor. So it's better just to be a little cautious.
Yeah, I think the best way, honestly, I think the best art form and the best way to get controversial messages across is stand-up comedy. Have you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy? Because I think you would crush it.
The funniest thing, and this is a true story, is my whole life, my father would tell me I should just go into writing comedy for television or movies or things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what he would tell me from a young age. So I don't know about doing anything public because obviously...
Well, being a comedy writer is the perfect middle ground. That way you're not... Like, only industry people know you, and the public doesn't know who's writing jokes for who, And that'd be it. Yeah, that's probably even better than being a stand-up comedian. Being the guy writing the jokes for the comedian, and nobody blames you.
Well, maybe after I finish the next 2 books.
Yeah, speaking of which, speaking of the next 2 books, one of those next 2 books is actually a continuation of sorts of the Postures of Power. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. So the first book, which is a re-release but rework as well, came out last December, and that was all about the sun, mysticism, movements, meditations, postures, mudras, all the fun stuff. And the next book is a continuation of that, but we're getting into the mysteries of the moon postures, different mysticism, ancient theology, astrotheology, all the fun stuff. And the moon is all about the unconscious. It's all about the hidden spiritual, psychic worlds, the astral worlds, dreams, life after death, reincarnation, all the really fun stuff. So I'm really working hard on making that book just as good, if not better, than the first release.
Beautiful. And we had a good conversation about the moon before the show. I want to bring that back up at some point if we end up having time. But what's the other book you're working on, or is that still a secret?
Well, no, you remember the first book that I came into this community with was Forbidden Knowledge with Bob Mitchell.
Yeah.
And that's actually the book that really got me going here. It was a very popular book, but half the book is basically conspiracies and alien theory, alien history type stuff. So a lot of sensational things, I would say, were in that book. And what I want to do is I want to kind of separate myself from that work, and I want to go more into the experiencer. So I want to write a book about being an experiencer, and I want to try to write what it's like to leave your body, what you find in the astral world, different experiences, and how I learned from each experience. Basically, I wanted to do a full-on textbook case study on myself for the first part, get into all the craziness of awakening out of body, and then get into the esoteric knowledge that comes with it and what people have been writing about for 6,000 plus years about altered states of consciousness, about what comes after, and the dimensional worlds we live in right now. And basically, we're we're having a physical experience, but there are spiritual beings and spiritual forces all around us all the time that we've completely disconnected from, but they didn't leave us. It's all still here. So I'm going to get into that type of information with the next book, which I don't have a title for yet, but it's going to be a case study of astral travel and things like that.
Fantastic. And so are you going to be, I mean, I know we talked about this the other day a little bit, but remind me again, are you still kind of, do they still have the same gnarly traveling situation going in and out of Canada, the whole 14-day thing, or are you allowed to actually get out of there, like, easily?
Right now, all the travel restrictions are gone.
Oh, perfect.
But up until a month ago, if I would leave, I would still have to quarantine myself for 14 days. Show, I guess, proof of PCR test, possibly. Actually, no, that's required. I actually have to send in 3 tests over the 14-day period, and an office. This is the greatest thing. A bylaw officer will come and check on you to make sure you're staying at home quarantining. And if you don't, you're going to get like a $5,000 fine or more if you're not home.
So, do they pay for the hotel? Like, is that how it worked back then?
No, you go back to your house, basically.
Oh, so you quarantine at your house?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, okay. Yeah, I know. I was going to say that almost might be nice to take a little 2-week, go have a vacation and then have another paid vacation at a hotel, for 14 days.
I think the whole point of it was to discourage people from traveling because think about it. If you have a full-time job and you want to take a 2-week vacation, like a normal 2-week vacation, so you have to take 2 weeks off work, but you would actually have to take off 4+ weeks of work.
Yeah, those sneaky bees. Yeah.
So most people will just say, "No, I can't take a whole month off."
That's ridiculous. I don't know. I'm shocked.
But now that that's over with, do you have any conference plans coming up? Can we expect to see you at any of the upcoming boogies?
See, I would absolutely love to. Seeing how I've been trapped in my house for 2+ years, I'd love to get out, see the world again, see my friends. But I don't know. I haven't heard from anybody, so I am not doing any shows or any conferences as of yet. But if opportunity arises, I will be traveling and doing the lecture circuit again because we love that stuff.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Because there's a couple of good ones coming up this next year that everybody knows and loves, and me and Brad can hopefully, I'll just argue till I'm blue in the face. Listen, you need to have Jason over here, and hopefully that'll work. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see. I'll try my best, sir. I'll try my best. And
do some GG magic right there.
Yeah, definitely. And okay, so we're on a strict break schedule. Already a minute past. Might get yelled at just for that. So we need to go ahead and take our commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. What the hell was that? And I am your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP. And we're here And we're here tonight with the one and only Jason Quitt. And we'll be back here in just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere, my friends.
Pure Health Defenders, proud sponsor of Shift Happens, producing organic and natural health, wellness, and technology products for people, pets, and plants to thrive alive. Pure Health Defenders, also known as PhD, is powered by C7 technology, scalar energy, atomic technology, and fueled by Sea Miracle Superfoods. 118 nutrients of the purest sea vegetables Mother Earth has to offer. Recognized 100% by people, pets, and plants, delivering the value the same. Everybody deserves a PhD. Be smart about it. Come join the healthiest family today.
Tired of talking about the weather? No Shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard, and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, a renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like The Rabbit Man, the Dogman encounter in Silas, Alabama, The Man with No Face, The Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana water demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
What are you doing late nights? Join me, Jess Rogie, the host of The Jess Rogie Show. We have a new show title and a new time slot. Become part of the show by calling in and joining in on the conversation. We'll discuss a wide variety of topics, including everything from consciousness, conspiracies, current events, fringe topics, pop culture, and so much more. Let's see where the night takes us. Join us live 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Eastern. Right after Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
I came to LA to make rock and roll. Along the way I had to sell my soul. I made some good friends that make me say I really wanna be in LA. I took the 10 to get to Beverly, laid some rock to tape, roll at 180. Alan and Natasha always make me say I really wanna be in LA.
And we are back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for the Fringe FM. This is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
I think I'm here.
Yes, you're here. And tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, joining us tonight is none other than Jason Quitt. Now, real quick, before we get back to the boogie, for those of you just now tuning in or new to the show or what have you, we do have a couple of chat rooms for you guys to hang out in. The first of which is over at Spreaker.com. The quickest way to get there is go to ShiftHappensRadio.com. Look for the episode player in the middle of the homepage. You'll see a little text icon, a little chat message icon. Just click that, and then bam, you're automatically in the Spreaker chat, which is basically the OG chat room. Then we got the new school chat room over at the Fringe FM. Just go to www.fringe.fm/chat and you get an automatic invite into the Fringe FM Discord server, which Elfman put a pretty funny GIF in there. and
He's
yeah,
always doing that.
Oh yeah, he's the best troll on the planet. Number one. And so the Fringe FM Discord is kind of like a super chat room. Not only can you chat and hang out with everybody else and ask your questions and everything else, but you can post videos and GIFs and photos and other stuff like that too. But I will warn you, if you don't know what Discord is, do not try to figure it out right now, because there's a learning curve and you're not going to know what the hell's going on. Next thing you know, the show's going to be over. So if you just want to get in and ask some questions, go to Spreaker, go to ShiftHappensRadio.com and do the first method. And then...
special request, by the way, special request from Maya. Gigi, please drop a link to the Midnight Blend show.
Okay, I'll put it... Yeah, I'll put it in the
Spreaker
chat,
there,
which is where she is. And for those of you just wondering, it's twitch.tv/Beyond the Strange. And that is simply that's where that show happens. So there you go. That's the link to where the Midnight Blend happens. Bam. All right. Live radio, folks. Got to get this done. And now, so interesting question from Elfman Pat Breeze. He's suggesting that Jason does a podcast that's just funny conspiracy skits, which is funny he mentions that because at one point in time that was in the bucket. That was one of the things that could have happened. I think pre-COVID. You were talking about doing something like that.
That actually evolved into the Quitspiracy show with Jimmy Church.
And he kept it exclusive over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I could always do my own thing somewhere else.
That's a great show. That I know you may personally be sick of doing those. I'm not sure, but the audience can't get enough of the Quitspiracy shows, and I enjoy those shows myself, actually.
Yes, I hear it's actually one of the most popular shows ongoing right now. So that's pretty great. But I just want to make a little announcement, is that I am watching the Spreaker chat, but I can't log in because it's asking for my Facebook password.
Facebook strikes again.
Comes full circle. Comes full circle.
So I can see what you're writing, but I can't respond on the chat.
Yeah, and plus, I'm pretty sure you guys are off on by one number on the episode count. I think. So Deb, hey, what's up, Deb? By the way, she's saying the next episode is 12. I'm pretty sure the next one is 13.
I don't know. The truth is, it's probably 11 or 12. We usually have been doing an episode every 3 or 4 months, possibly. Been doing it for a couple years, so we just lose count. Jimmy will just call me up and say, "You want to come on this week?" I said, "Sure." All right, Quitspiracy number whatever the next one is. That's how
it's like a quarterly show. How about that? We'll call it a quarterly show. And so have any of the topics you've dug into on Quitspiracy show, has it sparked any heavy debate, or has everything kind of just been kind of smooth?
Well, originally when I started to do the show with Jimmy, there was a lot of stuff coming out with secret space program and very old conspiracies that were already disproven years ago. I mean, just completely disproven conspiracy theories, but they started to get wrapped into the new secret space program net of conspiracies to prove that, people are real. And so originally we were just going into these topics that we knew were completely fabrications. But that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because those are kind of like the main conspiracy stories that are connected to certain people's stories or certain events. So, you're just kind of pulling the sweater string a little to show people that, maybe the stories that are holding certain events and people up never actually happened in the first place. So it makes you question the reality of those conspiracies. The last show I did, I know people are like, yeah, I know all this stuff, but the level of insanity to it is so huge that basically the internet was created by the U.S. Department of Defense. Like, all the internet was created by DARPA, ARPANET, and basically the CIA and other organizations basically funded developments of supercomputers and data centers with the NSA to literally collect every single data that exists on the internet today, and it's stored. So that, people just use the internet and go, okay, this is giving us freedom. They don't understand that the internet itself is a net of the U.S. Department or the U.S. military.
But that does... Now, you're talking about the World Wide Web, which is different than using a Tor browser in the dark web. They don't have so much... I mean, to a certain extent they do, but you can... But
you're wrong. I'm just going to say you're wrong, because the Onion, the Tornet, and we got into this on the show, is that it was created by the Navy. And you think the Navy just gave that up and gave it... everything is still connected. That's how they entrap a lot of people, is using the dark web.
Yeah, I guess a way to look at it is, any sort of internet was created by somebody. And do you think that somebody's just going to let it go willy-nilly? No! They're going to hound on it. Yeah. So I stand corrected. And where... Oh, I mixed in between both chat rooms. But yeah, so
I think that's a fair shot right there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt that the government has their hands in, I would say, most of the major chain corporations, even like Target, and some of the. I mean, it's just a theory. I have no way to back that up, but I'm just thinking, if it goes that far where they have that much control over something that certainly impacts everybody's life at this point, I don't think it's a far stretch to think that they're also, in some way, in form or shape, connected with the largest corporations as well.
No, but you're absolutely correct, and it's called Project, or the program is called PRISM, and basically what that does is if you are a U.S. corporation tech company, the NSA, FBI, CIA could have a duplicate copy of every piece of data that runs through you. And they could even take your servers. They could do whatever they want, basically, with any internet data that you get. And you're under, what law is it? Basically, the law is that you can't even go public telling anybody that they came in and took over their servers. So even if they come in and look at stuff or work on different servers, they're not even allowed to tell the public that that's what's happened.
I'm not 100% certain that this happened to me, but my website went down, and I cannot get an explanation from anybody. The designer isn't telling me nothing. Nobody can seem to help me. It's crazy. And I wonder if it's because of some of the content that I had on my website.
Again, it's who knows, but the scary part is that, the conspiracies that you can think of, it's based in reality. Like it's just an extension of power. So if they wanted to screw with you, if they wanted something, they have the ability to do it. And it's within the law to do it.
And they make it pretty clear once you've crossed their line, not the line. Once you've crossed their line, they'll Alex Jones you, or they'll Jason Quitt you,
Well, I've been a very good lad lately. I don't know if people noticed how good I've been online.
Dude, oh yeah, no, you're the best, and anytime you have a post, it's at least funny or thought provoking. Like you don't have any filler. You just like every post is meaningful. There's a lot of other folks that I won't name that do post some good stuff, but they also post 25 bullshit links within like 20 minutes. It's like, and then you ask him like, "Oh, where do I find your link?" "Oh, just go to my Twitter." And then I go to his Twitter. It's like, dude, you just posted 25 things in the last hour. What are you talking about? But Jason is very concise and selective, and he hits the punches. And I think he's the definition of a like a black belt at Twitter.
Hits you with the classics 24/7. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like I know a lot of people follow me on Twitter. They're also in the chat room right now. And, sometimes it's like I can't really say what I want to say, so I'll write something that's weird. Like, I think the last post I wrote was something like, have you ever explored the portals under your bed? Which is just a weird concept. But the other night, when I woke up the next morning, I had an experience where, you have these things coming out from under your bed, and I'm a 40-year-old adult. Okay, I'm not a child where like monsters are coming out from under their bed. I'm like in the astral state, going, God damn, there's freaking portals under my bed, and these things are coming through, and I gotta freaking stop this stuff. And then I'm waking up and going, man, I really want to tell people this, but I can't. So I'll just write something weird on Twitter about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a way have you ever gotten into Marco Allegro and the Sacred Mushroom and the Cross? That book?
I have not, but I have gotten into the mushroom and the cross. But not the Christian cross, just the crossing of boundaries of time and space.
So, I'm sure you know this. Marco Allegro was one of the 14 decipherers of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And although he was raised Catholic and all this stuff, at the time he was agnostic. And so he wrote several books, actually. He wrote like 8 or 9 books. But one of them was The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And his whole point is that the whole Catholic Christian religion is actually a complete misinterpretation of what was originally based on psilocybin, mushroom experiences, and fertility rituals. And when the Romans were coming after them, they had to figure out a way to hide the message and preserve it. And so they created all these parables and stories to sort of be like, hey, like remind, to pass it down, as it were. And it's super interesting. You can even find a free PDF version of the book. But what's even more interesting is the Catholic Church, the Vatican actually bought the rights to the book and then kept it from being sold for like 30 or 40 years until very recently they just let it back out. And does none of this ring a bell?
Well, let me just tell you that. Well, yeah, of course I've heard of this book, but all these ancient texts, all these religious documents are parables, they're allegories to something else, because these people were persecuted, but it's not just persecuted, they hid information in the texts, in the Bibles, in the ancient mythologies, the ancient gods. We're talking all the way back to Sumeria. The earliest documents, they're all allegorical about, the gods were the stars, the gods were the heavens, the moons, the moving of the wandering planets, the fixed stars. These were all the different gods. The seasons were all allegories. The ceremonies, the rites, like you're talking about the mushrooms, and if you're going even back to Egypt, it's like the tree of Osiris. It was a psychedelic fruit, a psychedelic leaf. What is it called? But anyways, and then there's also basically everything is hidden. What you're reading is not the truth. What you're reading is what is the literal sense, and then there's like 7 layers of meaning behind that.
Right.
But I completely agree, and it's also broken telephone. After different translations, ancient texts, different warring tribes taking over, and then continuing the religion but altering it. So over time, and I'm not even talking about Judaism or even Christianity or Islam. I'm talking even before all of that. The gods would shift and change constantly depending on the people that were in charge or the positions of the stars and the sun. So I would completely agree with the statement of the mushrooms. In fact, I did a post on Twitter, I think a week ago or a couple weeks ago, where Dennis McKenna, which is Terrence McKenna's brother,
right,
posted what did he post? Something about mushrooms in the Catholic Church, psychedelic mushrooms in the Catholic Church, and then I posted a picture of the outfits of the popes, which is this white robe with a red top and a white top that comes on top of it. And if you look at it, it literally looks like they're dressing up, they're cosplaying as mushrooms.
Dude, it goes even further than that as well. It gets pretty gnarly.
Because when you really strip away everything, okay, like just pretend you never had these documents, just strip away everything. what mattered to these ancient people was the cycles of time, the cycles of the seasons, the agriculture, the fertility of the land, the fertility of people. So there's a lot of phallic and sexual hidden symbology there.
Right.
Like Eve eating the apple,
Right.
and feeding it to Adam type of stuff. So there's these symbolic things. And then I lost my train of thought. But after that, you have to tell these stories to people in a way that they don't forget it. So think about like Atlantis, like Plato's Atlantis. Everybody knows about Atlantis from Plato, right? But do people know that even though Atlantis could be a historical account, what Plato wrote was not historical at all. What Plato wrote was an allegory for the creation of a city that was doomed to fall. And it was all based on music and geometry, and it was just, for him and his friends making fun of the Pythagoreans. So for us right here, we'll read and go, wow, he's describing Atlantis. No, he wasn't. He was hiding sacred geometry, numbers, and music to stick it to Pythagoras.
Yeah, that's wow. I've never heard anybody explain that well. Very well said, Jason. Yeah, and not like you said, not most people don't understand that that's what that was, and that's led to so much confusion amongst historians and conspiracy theorists and what have you. But we have to take a break right this very now, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Fringe FM here. This is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi. Our co-host, JP, just messaged me. His computer just took a shit and died. So he's trying to reboot it, and he will be back as soon as possible. We are here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with the one and only Jason Quitt. We'll be back here after just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere. Ahoy there, it's Gigi from Shift Happens, and you're shaking some conversational tail feather to the Fringe FM.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, the renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like The Rabbit Man, the Dogman Encounter in Silas, Alabama, The Man with No Face, The Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana Water Demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
Hey there, this is Jess, host of The Jess Rogie Show, and you're listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting, Fringe FM.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard. and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
are back. Yes. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, for the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
All right. I think we're back.
He's back.
A little disruption.
It's all good. Do we need to get you a new computer? Is that what needs to happen?
I don't know what that was. That was crazy. That was just a straight shutdown.
Talking about the government, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Even my connection now is real fuzzy. I don't know if yours is.
No, yeah. You sound good. You sound good.
Prove you have a belly button. What happened to the original JP?
That's
if any postman delivers my mail, I'm just coming out with my shirt off.
There you go. And that's a great question to ask an AI bot. I never thought of. Show me your belly button. I'll have to remember that one for next time.
Show me your navel.
And that's a good one. And ladies and gentlemen, we are joined tonight by Jason Quitt, the one and only. We will open up the phone lines this hour at some point. Now, I do want to get into, unless JP, is there something that you want to get into first before I go all GG?
Go GG. Yeah, no, well, yeah, let's see what you got, because I'm enjoying this ride.
Right on. Well, so we were talking about, a little bit before the show, Jason and I were talking about some of the oddities of the moon. Speaking of things like how, basically, what exactly is the moon? Because we know that without it, pretty much life doesn't really work here, especially certain aspects of life. It has more effects on certain types of life than others, but it's pretty effective all the same. It just so happens, even though it's close, it just so happens to have the same circumference relative to us that the sun has, which causes these eclipses, which that in itself is absolutely bizarre. But then on top of that, you've got the same side of the moon facing us at all times, which a lot of people get mistaken by this. They think the moon is not spinning. It's like, no. It's even crazier than that. The moon is spinning. The Earth is spinning and orbiting, while the moon is spinning and orbiting around us. And we're both spinning and orbiting around the sun. And so, to make an analogy for people, for anybody listening that thinks that the moon doesn't spin, it actually does, and it does orbit. And an analogy would be, imagine you flick a quarter on the table, right? And the quarter just starts spinning around, and it kind of does an orbit kind of motion while it's spinning. You know what I mean? So imagine you do one of those, and then you flick another quarter on the outside of it, and that one's spinning, and it's also orbiting. Yet, somehow, it's spinning and orbiting at the exact same mathematical rate so that the same side is always facing the Earth. Now, a lot of people call BS on that. I don't know. But according to, all of NASA and astrophysicists and people that study this stuff, it is spinning and orbiting. It's just in a tidal lock. Although there are apparently no other examples of this. Depending on who you ask, I've had a couple, like Mike Barra says that there's another moon in our solar system that does that. I can't remember which one. Either way, the moon is very trippy in itself. And then, of course, you've got the hollow moon theory, right? Which is another thing we discussed before the show. A piece of space debris from one of NASA's shuttles hit the moon, and according to the astronauts, it rang like a bell for 48 hours, which is interesting for two reasons. One, if that were the case, that would mean you would think it would mean it was hollow, but that's something we can actually correct in a second here with Jason. But for two, wait a minute, doesn't sound not carry through space? So what do you mean it rang like a bell? How'd you hear that? You know what I mean? So, with all of that laid out on the table, Jason, what the hell is the moon? How is it there? What's it doing? What's going on?
Well, let's go first with the scientific explanation, or the best scientific explanation we have to date, which is basically some huge object, maybe another planet, something massive, struck the Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. And the debris, and this impact was so strong that the debris from the Earth and debris from the other planet in its molten state became to orbit around the Earth. And that's the moon we know today. So we can say the moon is 4-point-something billion years old.
Do you believe that?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase it.
I'm always open to new information.
If you had a gun to your head, you had to say yes, that happened, or no, it didn't. Which would you gamble on? Best guess.
I think there is some type of evidence on Earth that proves that has actually happened in the past, of some massive thing destroying the Earth. And if that's the case, then I would agree with this statement.
Okay.
But going to the other weirdness things, which really does make me question reality altogether.
Right.
Because it's all about the ratios. It's the sacred geometry ratios and the sacred numbers. The radius, the dimensions of the Earth's circumference, the distance between the Earth and the Moon, the Earth's radius and circumference, the distance between the Moon and the Sun, and how big the Sun is, which is 400 times bigger than the Earth?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's beyond coincidence, right?
And if you're looking at, and remember, in ancient mysticism, man was the measure of the universe. Literally, man was the microcosmic man, the universal man, and he was the reflection of the divine. So they say you can measure reality by our physical bodies. And what's really interesting is, if you take your pinky finger and you stick your pinky finger up, I know this is radio, so they can't see me, but you guys can see me. Take your pinky finger and put it up. You stretch your arm out as far as it goes with the pinky in front of you.
Right.
Your eye to your pinky finger, if you hold that up to the sky, to the moon is the same size as the nail crescent of your pinky finger. So you could measure the size, the exact size of the moon by the nail crescent of your baby finger. You know. So again, the body, your physical body, can measure distances from your eye to your finger to the moon, is the exact same ratio as your fingernail growing. Okay, the Earth to the moon to the sun in the eclipse gives the visual illusion that all three are the same, because remember, it's not just a solar eclipse where the moon blocks the sun,
right,
but also a lunar eclipse where the Earth goes in between the sun and the moon, and you can see the Earth's shadow perfectly come and cover the moon. So back in the day, we're talking thousands and thousands of years ago, when the first mathematicians and geometers started to calculate these things, they started to believe that whatever force God was basically had a master measure, a master geometry, a master mathematics that laid out the cosmos, laid out the Earth, and laid out mankind. And that is where you get these very secret societies. You know, it was more opened. We all know Pythagoras and Plato. We just talked about those two. Socrates and all these great people, philosophers, but they use numbers in their philosophy. They use numbers to gauge reality, and they thought that they could find God through numbers because that's the grand layout. So that's just kind of out there. If you really go down that rabbit hole, that numbers are the language of God, basically. And that's the basis of Kabbalah and all these other systems that came after that. When it comes to ringing like a bell, you bring up a couple good points, because one, you can't hear anything in space, but you could measure electromagnetic frequencies.
Right.
So we have radio telescopes and microwave telescopes, X-ray telescopes, and if an impact happens and it creates some type of reverberation, it is possible that it could be picked up in the radio spectrum.
Right. Yeah.
and translate it that way. So maybe that's what we're really talking about. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's hollow. And we were discussing earlier, there's stones all over planet Earth that are known as sacred stones or bell stones. I don't know if you've heard of bell stones or bell rocks.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just boulders, just naturally formed boulders. Some are massive, that if you take a rock and you hit these boulders, they'll ring like a bell.
Wow.
And
Never heard of that.
Yeah, there's sites all over the planet that has, just look up bell rocks or bell rocks. I think that's what I just said. And
Right.
basically, you would think that those stones are hollow, but they're not hollow at all. They're fully formed rocks. They're completely solid. And what gives it the quality to ring like a bell, and it sounds like a Tibetan bowl, like a metallic Tibetan bowl. It's an amazing thing to hear. But it has something to do with it forming rapidly at a very high temperature through some type of volcanic process. So it's a known phenomenon, and this takes me back to what we talked about earlier of this massive, massive collision that was so catastrophic 4.5 billion years ago that the pieces were basically nuked, and molten metal, molten rock went up into outer space and formed very quickly into the moon that we know. Could that be an explanation, just like the Bell Rocks, that it formed in such a horrific way that it created a structure that could be resonated like a bell without being hollow?
Right. And yeah, so yeah, that's a great thing to consider when it comes to that. Now, I've got...
Oh, could I fill in one more thing?
No.
We would not be here if it wasn't for the moon. Like, literally, there wouldn't be life here. Without the moon, we wouldn't have a stable gravitational pull on the planet, which means the poles will just go. The atmosphere, the oceans, the everything. It may be a volcanic planet. It may be a ice world. Like, we really don't know exactly what would happen, but it would be so extreme that humans as we know it would not be able to live on that planet.
Exactly, which just adds even more to the mystery of how perfect the moon is in this universe full of chaos and unperfectness.
If you go back to before that, if you go to Sumerian and they talk about the moon god Sin, or Nana, the moon god Sin, in that pantheon of gods, which is about 6,000 years old, they place the moon in a higher position than the sun. In fact, in that hierarchy, the moon birthed the sun. It came before the sun. So it's very interesting that the first documented mythologies of the gods, or the cosmogenesis of creation, the first pantheons put the moon as the father of the sun, above the sun.
Interesting.
And then over time that completely flipped. The moon went from being a male deity like Sin to the female deity like Selene and Ishtar. Well, no, Ishtar was the daughter of Sin too, but she was also associated with the moon.
I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, that's very interesting. I did not know that bit right there. So that adds a whole nother. Okay, I'll have to process that. But in the meantime, let's see. We got about 7 minutes left to the break. I do want not to deviate to deviate entirely from what we were just talking about. Another question I want to ask you is, are you familiar with the Perry-Reese map and how it describes Antarctica as it was before the ice covered it? And then with Russian LiDAR, they went over with LiDAR and figured out, it turns out it's exactly how this map from back in like the 1500s described it. Are you familiar with that? The
I am.
Perry-Reese map? Yeah.
I am. And obviously, yeah, I can only speculate the reasons.
Well,
there's a couple speculations. The speculation number one is there was an advanced civilization akin to Atlantis, Lemuria, that is pre 10,000 BC, that at that time and before had the knowledge and instruments and the ability to circumnavigate the globe using ships or some type of technology. I know, and this is channeled material from Edgar Casey, but they did have. He says that they did have sky ships back then. If that could be like an airship or something like that. But that's one speculation, which I think is I think it does actually fit with historical records that there was an understanding, even how the Sumerians, the Egyptians, they got information from. Well, they got information that was already fully formed. It's not like they just created all these things and then suddenly had their society. It's like they had all that information going into the society or civilization.
Yeah.
So we know that there was a very high knowledge coming into these ancient civilizations. Another speculation, which I don't think anybody has really talked about, and I'll just go right into the woo about this, is the people in ancient times were very interested in altered states of consciousness, leaving their bodies, meditation, using psychedelics. Like that was the it culture at the pre-dawn of civilization, the shamanic culture. And what if there were really excellent remote viewers, really excellent astral travelers who took it upon themselves to map the Earth from their out-of-body experiences?
Wow, yeah. Damn, that's as good of an explanation as anything that we've gotten from mainstream science and archaeology and everything else. But here's where I was. All right, I'm going to try to get this done before the next break so that we can just take some calls and get everybody else involved here. But when it comes... regardless of how they achieved these mapping, geographing the world, I don't know if that's how you say it, but you know what I mean, they were obviously pretty accurate. And we're going back hundreds of years, in some cases over 1,000 years, of maps that describe Antarctica exactly as it would have been before the ice. But here's the other interesting part about those maps, is almost universally, all these, including the Perry-Reese map, they show and articulate a group of a mass of land, 4 little subcontinents that surround the North Pole. And Mount Meru is supposed to be up there. There's actually a name for this cluster. Do you remember the name, JP, of the cluster of land that they used to have mapped up there? No.
I do. I can't remember it right now. Yeah.
It's like Hyperbo something. But here's the interesting thing. So the same people that knew what was underneath Antarctica also mapped on their map that there's this landmass around the North Pole. But today, if you go on Google Earth, they show nothing. There's nothing up there. We've got thousands of years of maps showing land up there. Then all of a sudden, a couple hundred years ago, that land's not there anymore on the maps. And even more interestingly, public or private, you are not allowed to fly over the North Pole. Does that... What, I mean, that just kind of barks at me as there's something going on up there that they don't want us to know about. What does that... Have you read or heard or seen anything that would shed any light as to what could be going on here, Jason?
No. But
what do you think? Like, what do you make of that?
I think that the true north magnetic field of the Earth and South Pole magnetic fields, the north would be the pole that's pulling in electromagnetic energy into the core of the planet, and the south is the pushing out of the magnetic field around the planet. So there could be a lot of anomalous things around the pole, which if you even go near those areas where that electromagnetic energy or photonic energy, ionic energy, whatever you want to call it, is flowing into that vortex of the magnetic field, it may completely destroy all electronic devices. It may make your compass go crazy. It may even make you go crazy. It may wipe your mind, may put you in altered states of consciousness. It could be a very dangerous place for living life.
But why
so
not?
Maybe that's
why not just tell us, like, hey, this land sucks. Don't go there. Instead of keeping it this, I mean, you know, map. I don't know what the term is. Mapticians, people that make maps.
You mean like completely wipe it off?
Yeah,
our radar.
Yeah. Why do that? With like, that just seems suspicious.
Well, you know me, man. Like I've heard so many things that I don't trust anything anymore, and I've been that way for a long time. So could there be artifacts of technology, other civilizations, hidden military bases, hidden breakaway civilizations? You know, what if there was, the old Atlanteans, old Lemurians are living in mega cities in the North Pole, you know?
Yeah, and then, and then you've got Admiral Richard Byrd from Operation High Jump, who went to both poles and had some pretty crazy shift to say about what he saw up there, which coincides with these old maps that have all of a sudden had these parts of the maps erased.
But he never took credit for those, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, because he was dead.
Yes, so it's like,
yeah. So that's got to be taken with a great assault.
Yes, and I think he was also a Freemason too, and he definitely knew about the occult and allegories and different things like that, and different mythologies. So it is quite possible he wrote something interesting.
Probably not unlike most of the astronauts, or the famous ones at least.
Yes.
But he also did say he said a couple of interesting things while he was alive on that one famous radio interview. I know we're late for a break, but I'm going to get this in real quick. They asked him, and what was this, 1940s? Like old school, when TV was first a thing, like there was only like one or two or three shows. And on one of the shows they had Admiral Richard Byrd on there, and they asked him about Antarctica, and he said it's amazing that there is a landmass the size of North America beyond Antarctica. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? I thought that's where Antarctica was, and look on Google Earth right now. There's nothing past that. I think the exact term he used was there's a beyond the South Pole, I believe is what he said. And which okay, we got to take a break. But let's think about that. Think about that. The guy that went down there and was basically the Antarctic explorer. He claims that there's all this land that's not being... Well, I guess none of the land is being used. But he's describing more land that has not been used. And I don't know. I have this suspicious feeling that the military, especially the military, could have potentially found some land in their explorations that they thought might have been tactically useful, as long as nobody knew about it, have some hidden little spots, and depending on what you take from Richard Byrd's diaries or not, which it really sucks we can't just take it at face value, because you can't, because it was discovered by his relative, and who knows if he altered it or whatever. That sucks. But if it's true, if those are his real diaries, that changes everything. But there's no way to know. There's no way to know. So just something to ponder about. So let's go ahead and, if I have this all queued up, which I don't, let's go ahead and take our next commercial break. And when we come back, I promise, we will open up the phone lines. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening. The Shift Happens here for the Fringe of Him. I'm your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
Getting there.
And we are here tonight with Jason Quitt, the one and only. And we will come back with your phone calls if you want, or if you just want more of Jason, we'll do that too. We'll get back here just a few short commercially minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Tired of going out and having fun on Friday nights? Perfect. Because that's when our show, Shift Happens, airs live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 9 p.m. Central, right here on the Fringe FM. Get there while you can status.
Listen, as we explore the mysteries of the universe, the unknown, high strangeness, consciousness, and our human potential, Lighting the Void is an eclectic program that strives to ignite the late night with stimulating conversations. Join us on the Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214 844-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
Musicians experience a lot of frustration with music marketing and promotion. They have no idea how to get their music heard, and they're spending hours sending emails, making phone calls, and hitting up their friends to promote them. With our industry-powered digital marketing platform, we can set up your media plan in minutes. Our team will automatically distribute your music across all the best channels, so you can focus on actually making the music. Submit your music today on our website at mymusicpromoter.com. That's mymusicpromoter.com.
Thousands of people are having paranormal experiences with ghosts, demons, shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and more. Their stories need to be told, and they are being told. Dark Waters, the renowned storyteller, invites you to join at IamDarkWaters.com. For just a few dollars a month, you can listen to some of the most hair-raising and compelling stories on the planet. You'll have access to real-life stories told by Dark Waters, thousands of hours of content. Their encounters are being told, and told by the best, at IamDarkWaters.com. Listen to stories like The Rabbit Man, the Dogman encounter in Silas, Alabama, The Man with No Face, The Other Woman, A Day Ahead of the Devil, Dogman Murder in Hurricane Ida, even a story of someone trying to kill a dogman. Louisiana water demon stories. Sign up today and become a member at IamDarkWaters.com. That's IamDarkWaters.com.
This is Tom Sherman. Down here at Banning College, we're promoting a blood drop. Oh, shit.
Welcome to the Sound of America. You're listening to AM 580. Lay back with the sheep. Little lamb. Little lamb. Little lamb. Little lamb. Little lamb. Little lamb.
Steve throw Adam the apple. God told me so! To my face! Devil cannot be saved. Follow me and Good to know that he's walking with me. Big rock is a weapon.
The devil is a black storm.
True. Into the fog. Let him cast the first stone. Jesus. And you have fallen into the love that needs to be designed by the Lord. Hallelujah, y'all. I want to hear a couple of hallelujahs.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I am your host, Gigi, along with our co-host, JP.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We're almost there, man. 8:40.
8:40. Yeah. And hopefully one day we can figure out how to not have to have commercials. But I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So, all right, with all that, the phone lines are open. I put the call-in number in both the Spreaker chat and the French FM Discord. Other than Pat making fun of my phone system skills, there is no calls yet. And for those of you, most of you, that are just listening, if you want to call in, and you can change the subject, do whatever you want, add to what we were talking about before, it's all up to you. And that number is, are you ready for it? Do you have your pen? It's 1-928-208-4464. In fact, forget the 1. It's just 928 208-208-4464. Now,
call in.
Yeah, call in if you want to, and or just don't. Either way, totally cool.
Or don't.
Yeah. And but so I think I pretty much got to the point of where I wanted to get to. So before I ask Jason my next question, JP, you got anything for Jason?
No, kind of like we've been heading. Maybe. Well, I don't know. I was going to get accidentally. I was going to default to some weird political thing. Why don't? Do you do any politics, or do you stay the heck away from it like I do?
I stay away from it, and I don't like any of the political parties. So that's just where I'm at, and I think that's a good place to be at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I watched a really interesting video about where the left and right started as far as American politics, and it was really interesting. And I'm too dumb to relate what it said. Maybe I'll post a link on Twitter because I still have it saved on my playlist. But it's really interesting. The terms left and right, conservative, liberal, actually have completely different origins, apparently, according to this guy.
I would have just thought it was two cousins fighting.
And okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that loud ass noise? That's
I do.
because
that means we got a caller.
That's because Skype sucks. But yes, that does also mean that we have a caller. And our caller is coming in from area code 408. Who art thou? And why are you calling?
Hi, Gigi and Jason and JP. It's Deb from Sacramento.
Hey
there,
what's
how are you?
happening, Deb?
Hello.
I'm fantastic, you guys. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
You know, the three of you are what I call the perfect trifecta. If you were horses and you came in first, second, and third place, you'd pay a lot of money, I think.
Probably.
So not glue.
Not glue. Yeah.
No.
They're not going to take me to the back and just shoot me, are they?
Oh no, you're all high prize winners, which is why the trifecta would pay a lot of money. But I have a question, and I have a theory I want to run past Jason and get his response.
Sure. Sounds good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, Jason, my theory is it has to do with reincarnation. And I believe that when we reincarnate, and again, this is just a theory, that when we reincarnate, before we agree to come back, we agree that our memories will be wiped. And so when we go through the birth canal, that's the place where when we come out, our memories are gone. Once we come through the birth canal, and we don't have those memories, and that's part of the reincarnation agreement. And my theory is that children who were born C-section, like myself, and don't go through the birth canal, tend to retain prior life memory, because I found that to be true for me. And I'm wondering what you think about that.
I've never heard that before. It's a very interesting theory. I was born naturally, and I've had past life rememberings. I think it has to do more with the person's karma of who they were in their past life, and what they need to bring into this life. So maybe you need to have those memories in this life for some reason to put you on a specific path in this world. Definitely, that's the reason why I remember, is because, man, did it set me on a path. But it's interesting, and just to take it a step further, what they believed for thousands of years is that the moment you came into this world and you took your first breath of life with your own lungs, that moment, you're imprinted by all the different planetary fields of energy, and it creates the map of your entire life at that very second of breath. So
Wow.
it could be very, and that's the basis of astrology and why different planets affect different people differently, because it actually creates the resonance of each energetic field you have with the first breath.
That's fantastic. It's interesting. And I did have another question, really. I know that you've had a lot of prior life memories. I've had two. I've been able to regress and remember two prior lives, and in one of them I was a 17-year-old girl when I died, and I died in childbirth. And then the other one was I was like a 4-year-old little boy, and I died. I was hit by a train on the railroad tracks, like in the old Western time. And so the memories I've had, I don't know the names of these people. I don't know. I have a sense of the timeline for both, but I only remember both their moments of death. I don't remember anything about their lives. So my question is, do you just remember your point of death? Do you remember whole lifetimes and pieces of your lives? That's what I'm wondering.
Welcome to the club, because literally 99.9% of the time, you just recall the moment of death or leading up to the moment of death.
Right.
And then you have to figure it out. There's no real information about it. Sometimes you get other pieces of the puzzle if it's important to fill in some blanks of why you were there. So sometimes it happens, but most of the time it's just the moment of death.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you so much, you guys. I'll let you go so you can hopefully take another call. God bless, and have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks for calling.
All right, thanks, Deb.
Thanks,
And
guys. Bye-bye.
yeah, there are certainly
Thank you, Steve.
other examples of. There are examples of people remembering quite a bit about their past lives that actually turned out to be pretty true, but nothing that I could really articulate in any meaningful manner here. So let's go ahead and get to our next caller, which is area code 618. Who art thou and why are you calling?
What's up, Jason? What's up, JP?
Oh, let's end it. End it here. Gigi, that's it. Cut it.
Did Gigi leave?
What's up? What's up, man? What's going on?
What's up,
what you got?
man?
All right, Jason, you ready, man?
I'm ready.
All right. Undersea civilizations. UFOs, or what they're called USOs, are quite a lot throughout history, been written down in and out of the oceans. So what do you think about the civilizations underneath? Still think they're active?
Ooh.
Or do they exist at all?
Yeah, that's a really good one, because you could hide a lot in the sea. The sea is very, very deep in certain places. And I'll just go back to certain things that were channeled, because obviously this is all speculation, so channeling could be a unit of measure in this. But what I've heard through different channeling sources is that there's a lot of portals under the ocean that transport objects from place to place and through time, and not just on this planet, but from this planet to other planets using portals in the ocean. But I think the ocean is the smartest place to hide if you want to stay hidden.
Now, you brought up the portal thing. Now, at one time, there was no water, correct?
I don't know, because there's vast amount of water, just as much water that's on the surface is actually under the crust as well. So there's a lot of water on this planet.
But what we can classify above ground, at one time, Wasn't it pretty much all ground?
I possibly in the billions of years ago, yes.
So, key lines, ley lines. Wouldn't the portals just be like the portals that we have above ground now?
Absolutely. But I wouldn't even. I would say there's portals everywhere, from the deepest in the sea to mid-sea, to sea level, to in the sky, to above the earth. I think they're absolutely everywhere.
But okay, I get you. So you think they'll materialize anywhere? See, I'm more of a needs to be closer to ley lines, needs to be closer to certain points.
Well, I would think that those would be the hot centers, like the gateways of the Earth would be through the crossings of powerful portal lines or powerful ley lines of the planet. So I would agree in that sense, yes.
All right, man. I dig it.
All right, thanks. Just, be careful. You may walk into a portal one day and you go, oh, man, we were right.
Look out.
Yeah. But then you got to know
as long
what
as GG's not on the other side, I'm good.
Yeah, and I
nice.
Me too. I agree. I agree with Elfman. I'd be great if I wasn't there either.
All right, guys, have a good weekend.
Yeah,
You
thanks
too.
for calling, man. We'll see you later.
America's maple syrup's better. Bye.
Highly
I agree.
debatable. Highly debatable. You know what I've noticed?
I totally
actually?
agree. It's more buttery. It's obviously way worse for you,
But
it's
not,
it's so tasty.
It's not real maple though. It's not actual
It's so
maple
tasty.
syrup. Dude, you know what I've discovered is when you get like a good old fashioned sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, not only do you put some syrup on there, what you want to do is get some grape jam or some grape jelly, whatever you call it where you're from, and you make sure each bite has that in there. And
Nice.
woo! Yeah, that's how you kick off your morning. And don't put it in the coffee though. That doesn't work quite as well. All right, so we've got just a few minutes here left. So real quick, in a quick 3-minute segment, Jason, what is what as of late has been at the top of your curiosity? Like something that you've come across that you cannot explain and just puzzles your mind that seems to be a real phenomenon of some sort.
Oh. I got to think of an answer to deflect, because you can't know what I'm really thinking. No, but in all seriousness, I've been exploring thought forms a lot, and what that really means is creating projections in the etheric or astral world, and trying to figure that out, which I guess is kind of complicated if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But basically, I believe the mind and emotions has an effect outside of the physical world, and people think of manifestation or different things, but really it's they're creations in another etheric realm, I'll say. And the more you feed it, or the more energy you give it, the more it can take form, which I think is one of the interesting things, and where magical, esoteric things have happened in the past because of that stuff. So I'm just thinking, all is mind, and going down that a little.
Yeah. Great answer.
Sorry about that answer. Let's talk about the chicken and the egg.
We don't have time. We have to go. But if you guys missed it, we did.
We've gone there.
We went there on Beyond the Strange. Last time Jason was on there, just pretty recently. And there you go. Real quick, folks, I want to remind you, we are doing the Midnight Blend this Saturday. Just follow us on Twitter at Shift Happens Pod, or go to Shift Happens Radio and click the Twitter link there to keep up with all that stuff. We're also doing Pulp Addicts Pod on Monday, and we're doing both of those every week from now on, as so long as all of our life occurrences concur that they should be done so. So that's the plan. There you go. And with that, real quick, Jason, do you plug everything you got to plug? Where can they find you? Where can they where can they keep up with everything that's you?
Well, if you go to my website, thecrystalsun.com, I got lots of crystals. I got my Egyptian Postures book, and you could also find my Egyptian Postures book on Amazon, anywhere in the world. You can't visit me on Facebook or Instagram anymore because I am banned, and hopefully that gets resolved soon. But you can find me on Twitter and catch the comedy act in action.
There you go. Yeah, highly recommend. And what's your Twitter handle? Is it just at Jason Quitt with 2 T's?
At Jason_Quitt. I have no idea why I did that, and I'm kicking myself till this day.
Yeah, I would kick you right now if I were there. Yeah. No underscores, especially with 2 T's. You had it in the bank. 2 T's.
I know.
Who else is
didn't even try it?
Well, there you go. Jason_Quitt. And JP, where can everybody keep up with you and follow you?
Reperceptions on Twitter, I think, is probably the best right now. Let's do that and look for the show on eTalk.tv on the 22nd. eTalk TV on the 22nd of October. I'll be on there on a marathon with Jeff Rennell and all the all these great people that we hang out with. So,
whoa!
And that is it.
My computer just freaked out, but I think we're still good, folks. So yeah,
freaky deaky.
All right, check all that out, and we got to get out of here because coming up next, I'm not sure if Joe's going live, folks, with Lighting the Void. As you've heard, he's trying his best to get out of town to go see his father. He has some heart issues, so if you guys could wish Joe and his family all the best blessings, we'd all really appreciate that, and donate to the Fringe FM if at all possible, because trust me, folks, it's not easy running a radio network, and I'm not even the one running it, so I don't even know. I only know what Joe tells me, and it sounds pretty hard. So with that, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. Make sure to tune in next week. We're going to have Duke Sullivan, Bigfoot research extraordinaire, along with Eric Awakening Man, a.k.a. Eric the Adventurer. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Again, the Midnight Blend tomorrow night and Pulp Addicts Pod on Monday. Follow us at Shift Happens Pod on Twitter to keep up with all that stuff. This show has been hosted and produced by yours truly, Gigi. You know where to find me, shifthappensradio.com. All that stuff is over there. Co-host is JP. We just went over that. Guest tonight, Jason Quitt. Thank you very much for coming on such short notice. Associate producer is Brad Harris. You can follow him on Twitter at ADS Brad Harris. And as always, all blames and faults go to Fran. That's right. Hashtag Fran's fault. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in, but don't go too far because coming up next is hopefully Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. And then following that is the late night Jess Rogie Show. right here on the Fringe FM. All right, folks, have a great weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't, and do everything that I would. And we will see you next week. Cheers to you, folks.